Hi, this is Dr. Marty Klein with another video quickie. I want to talk about moral outrage, which is such a poor substitute for intelligent debate. And of course, in America, sex is always in the news. And the news provides a chance for sincere, well-informed people to disagree. Unfortunately, these days, people are using the day's sex news more as a chance to choose up sides, to define what your opinion means about you and all your other opinions. So I disagree has been replaced with you're misogynist. No, you're wrong has been replaced with you are a rape apologist. I don't get your logic has been replaced with you're blaming the victim. And I don't agree with that assumption has been replaced with you're transphobic. Increasingly, Americans are more interested in finding out what tribe you belong to than in what you actually think. And once somebody decides that you're in the wrong tribe, they feel free to ignore what you say or to attack you for what they imagine you believe. This makes secular democracy impossible. It's how phony democracy works in Middle Eastern countries like Iraq and Afghanistan. Voters don't ask what a candidate knows or wants or thinks should happen. They ask what his religion is, what his ethnicity is, what tribe he's from, and then they vote for their guy and demonize the other guys. So these days, writers and speakers are being labeled for what their opinions supposedly mean instead of having their ideas dissected and discussed. And too much of this is a purity measurement. Are you 100% with us or are you the enemy? Here are three recent examples with which you may be familiar. A couple of years ago, a Stanford University student was convicted of having sex with an unconscious woman. Awful thing to do. I mean, really, really bad. The judge punished him with lifetime sex offender registration and 6 months in jail, which is exactly what the probation department had recommended. Some people think the sentence was shockingly light, so they organized a recall campaign to get rid of the judge. Other people, including dozens of professional judges in California, are against the recall, primarily because it undermines judicial independence, making judges think twice about following the law. Many anti-recall people also believe that lifetime sex offender registration and a jail record, not to mention jail time, is an enormous and appropriate, even if imperfect, punishment. Supporters of the recall framed the upcoming recall election as, are you against rape or not? And do you believe women deserve to be safe or not? Well, this simplistic narrative can't possibly do justice to the subtleties or sophistication of the anti-recall position. The idea that someone is pro-rape just because they believe in judicial autonomy is bizarre, and it does not help rape victims. Here's another example. There's a lot of concern about women who are sexually assaulted on college campuses. Well, of course, that's a horrible thing. Many uninformed people have irresponsibly repeated the bizarre claim that 20 or even 25% of women in college have been raped, a figure higher than reported during the brutal wartime chaos in failed states like Yugoslavia or the Congo. That figure is demonstrably false in the US. The 1 in 4 and the 1 in 5 figures were generated by one researcher who did not ask respondents if they'd been sexually assaulted. Rather, she asked respondents if they'd had various sexual experience, such as unwanted kissing, and then the researcher coded those results as sexual assault. Challenging this impossibly high figure has not been popular. Anyone referring to more reliable data, say from the FBI or the CDC, has been attacked as being part of rape culture. In fact, social justice leaders have said that quibbling over numbers trivializes the awful experience of being raped. I say the opposite. I say redefining sexual assault so that it includes things like unwanted kissing or groping, as unpleasant as they are, trivializes rape. It also erases distinctions that are crucial to serious efforts to reduce all kinds of sexual misconduct. Just as strategies for reducing drunk driving will not much reduce car theft, strategies for reducing rape will not much reduce the far more common sexual ignorance, sexual disrespect, or sexual regret. Here's another example. If my college-age daughter and her friends plan to drive to a frat party, I would advise her to wear a seatbelt and to pull off the road if she wants to text. If the frat's in a dangerous neighborhood, I would advise her to take a cab or to use Uber rather than walking. Is that kind of thinking about safety blaming the victim? No, it's encouraging someone to take responsibility for themselves. Similarly, it's a message of self-care and adult caution to advise her, do not get drunk before you go to a party. In fact, don't get drunk at the party in the first place. And yet, this reasonable position, encouraging women to take care of themselves, recognizing the reality of the world in which they want to be autonomous, is fiercely attacked as blaming the victim and letting predatory men off the hook. I've even been attacked as supporting rape with the twisted logic that since women have a right to be safe when they're drunk, which they do, they shouldn't have to be thoughtful about whether to get drunk in a given situation. People who spend years studying issues often come up with contrasting analyses, leading to contrasting policy ideas. At the same time, only fanatics are 100% ideologically pure. Caricaturing someone else's ideas with words or slogans like rape apologist or microaggression may help define a small, dedicated in-group, but it prevents communication and it limits the size of progressive communities and progressive movements. It also keeps ideas simple, free from the nourishment of cross-pollination with other ideas. Simple ideas like perfect moral clarity may be attractive, but they seldom work in the real world. I'm Dr. Marty Klein. If you enjoyed this little video quickie, then subscribe by pushing the button at the bottom of your screen so you'll find out the very next time that I publish another one. Thanks for joining me.